Unlock the secrets of franchising success with the Franchise Life podcast. Hosted by Stacie Shannon. Join us for expert insights, success stories, and practical tips every week. Subscribe now and take your franchise journey to the next level.
Hello, and welcome to the Franchise Life. Today, we have an exciting and new brand called Bodenvy. And with me today, I have Candice, who is the Franchise Development Director for Bodenvy. Welcome, Candice.
Thank you, Stacie. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, so Bodenvy is in the aesthetics and wellness segment of the franchise industry. So just starting at the top, Bodenvy was founded in 2019, started franchising in 2023. You have 2 company-owned units, and you've awarded 20 locations throughout the United States today. So off to a good start, which is fantastic. So give us an introduction at a high level of what Bodenvy is.
Yeah. So, we're body contouring brands, but the way that I actually really like to describe Bodenvy is that we're a marketing brand that just happens to do body contouring. And why I say that is our founder, Jim, he has a very impressive resume in regards to marketing. He actually sold his company back in 2019 to a PE firm and could have easily retired. But he's young. He didn't want to. His wife comes from an aesthetic background, and that's how Bodenvy was created. So he is going to directly do all of the marketing for the franchisee. And when I say all, I mean 100% of the clients that are walking in are coming from the corporate team and the marketing tactics that they do to create the lead generation for that franchisee. Perfect example, our Summit, New Jersey franchisee opening day had 29 customers on their calendar. So really keep in mind, hot and heavy into the marketing. But what we do is we work with subcutaneous fat, which I like to describe as that annoying fat that hangs over your belt when you bend over, right? And you're like, oh, I don't like that. I want that gone. But then there's also visceral fat. And visceral fat is what you can't really see. It's what's behind, like around the organs and stuff like that. You'll a lot of times see older gentlemen that may look like they have like a beer belly, but really it's that visceral fat that's sitting there. And so when you go in, and I'm not talking negatively, but if you were to go in and do like liposuction or something along that line, it's only going to take care of that subcutaneous squishable fat. So what Bodenvy has done is we've created a program that our machines will take care of that subcutaneous fat, but we also need to take care of the visceral fat. And how we're going to do that is when a customer comes in, they're going to actually get on our Sika machine, and that machine is absolutely fantastic. It's going to break down the subcutaneous and visceral. It's going to show it in each area of the body so that we can create a customized program for that individual. Nobody is going to have the exact same plan as the other person. And what they're going to do is, one, they're going to get on a nutrition program. We actually have a licensed nutritionist that will be doing the consultation with them, helping them learn what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, and can even connect them with food providers like Factor and stuff like that to help make sure that their meal structure is proper. We're also going to help them in regards to workout routines, maybe connect them with a personal trainer, or just give them some suggestions that they can do to help with that visceral fat. We also, if they have a lot of that they need to lose, we will put them on a very low dosage of tirzepatide. And tirzepatide, we like that one because it actually has a lot of benefits besides just weight loss. It also helps regulate your hormones and that type of thing as well. Now, we're not putting them on a dosage to lose weight. We're doing it on a maintenance dosage. And that's just to kind of curb their appetite so that they don't eat when they're sad or mad or anxious. They're not waking up at midnight going and getting a row of Oreos so that their husband or wife doesn't see. It's just kind of helping with that. Then on the other side, we're going to stack our technology with the machines to create a weight loss in regards to that subcutaneous fat. So the first thing they're going to do is cool sculpting. And cool sculpting, all of our machines are non-invasive and FDA approved. And they're going to go in there and put on these handles that are going to kind of suction their fat area and freeze it. It is kind of a fun experience. I've actually done it a few times. And, I always tell people it feels like a sunburn for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then you get numb. But what it's really going to do is just freeze those fat cells. When you go through puberty, you actually have all of the fat cells that you'll ever have in your body. Now, depending on your habits and stuff like that, they may expand or they may shrink in. But cool sculpting actually goes in there, freezes them, and permanently removes them. So you will not get that weight back in that area because there's no fat cells in that area. Now, if you went back to your old eating habits and bad routines, you could carry that weight somewhere else. And that's why we focus with that nutrition, because we want to make sure that you change your lifestyle. But cool sculpting is going to remove those fat cells. After you've lost a lot of those fat cells, you're going to notice that you might get a little bit of loose skin. And we want to make sure that that's really nice and tight. So then you're going to go in and use our Cool Wave machine. And again, that machine is non-invasive. It's actually kind of relaxing. You're going to lay there for about 30 minutes, and this is going to help with the elasticity of your skin. It's going to remove old collagen and replenish new. So it's going to help get that skin tight and back into place. And then the last step is our Cool Tone. And Cool Tone is my favorite machine. It is like going to the gym while you're laying down watching Netflix. 30 minutes is equivalent to 20,000 sit-ups, but you're not going to have the pain of it. So we're going to go in, we're going to freeze the fat, then we're going to tighten the skin, and then we're going to help create new muscle. And that program is what about 60% of our clients do. But we do get other clients that come in and buy a la carte. So some people may come in, professional athletes are actually really into our brand. They come in and they'll get just like a stubborn area that they can't lose that fat. Or bodybuilders will come in and do our skin tightening right before a competition. So you are going to notice that people will come in and just randomly pick different packages, that they don't necessarily need the full extreme transformation that focuses on that visceral and subcutaneous fat.
Wow, you just unloaded a lot. Thank you. It's actually fascinating because I don't know of any other brand really out there. I mean, I have 600 plus brands in my portfolio, and I really cannot, off the top of my mind, come up with another brand that is all-encompassing of these services. So let me ask you, is there a proprietary aspect to this business model?
So we have proprietary products. When people go on that extreme transformation program, they are going to also be prescribed per se, protein powders, amino acids, electrolytes, a massage oil to help with lymphatic drainage, which is very important after you get that cool sculpting treatment. And all of that is proprietary. There's also something in the works that is coming in regards to a machine that will be out in 2025.
Exciting. Okay, so you mentioned a New Jersey location that started with 29 appointments on the book day one. So a couple questions. I mean, clearly that's, pre-opening, lead gen marketing, and so forth. But number one, is this a membership-based model for people that want the all-encompassing transformation? And number two, what does that pre-grand opening campaign look like from an incentive standpoint per se?
Yeah, so we don't actually do any subscription-based models because every single customer is coming in and getting a customized program. So it would be kind of hard to make it a subscription-based. Now, what I will say is that new special machine that I said something is coming out in 2025 is going to be a subscription-based model machine. But it is not here yet. And then in regards to like the marketing incentives, like are you asking like when are we turning that on? Like how are we doing that?
Well, what I'm saying is like, okay, is there like a catch or an incentive for, we're going to be opening for the first 100 customers that sign up, to experience the service? Is there some financial savings incentive, or how are you getting those bookings? Is it just new
It
and
may sound like
exciting?
a really bad sales pitch, but we don't do anything like that. We don't want people to look at us as we don't want people to look at us as a Groupon, right? We want people to see that their body, their well-being, their mental space is an investment. And so we don't really go in there and do any like, hey, first 100 customers get 25% off. Um, it honestly is just strategically placing the ads in the right areas to get those 29 customers. And that is not abnormal. We do have two corporate locations. We have that franchise location, and we also have another location in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And all four of those have had very, very similar results in regards to first day, and then continuing that that level of client base throughout the process. It's not like, oh, you get a 1 day high ramp and then it drops way back down. We continuously see that number being at a high volume, knowing that our marketing is indeed working to generate those clients walking into the doors for the franchisees. I kind of tell people, and there's nothing wrong with this, but we're not an amazing lash studio or a Dunkin' Donuts where people are walking by and they say, oh, honey, let's go get a Dunkin' Donuts, right? Our ticket price is very high. So we need to strategically place our marketing ads in the right areas so that customers are coming directly to us. They're not walking past us and we're getting their attention.
So you're more a destination spot. I mean, it's very, very purposeful. So, okay, on that note, you're a brick and mortar, obviously. So what type of retail spot are you looking for? Is it Class A, Class B? And what is the footprint of the space?
Yeah, we ideally like 1,400 to 2,000 square feet. I would say the sweet spot's like 1,800 square feet. Our corporate location in Winter Park, Florida, actually is only like 1,500 square feet, and they did incredibly well last year. So you can do really good with a small square footage here. When we look at like the class, we like A and B, just because we want to make sure that it's an area that people feel comfortable coming in, spending this type of money, and the co-tenants are appropriate for the brand in which we represent. Orange Theory, Amazing Lash Studio, that type of stuff is great co-tenants for us. But we're not opposed to, going into a medical office if it makes sense and it's the right market. We haven't said absolutely no, we won't do that. We just have found that it's going to be best for that Class A, Class B.
So, and you guys, I assume, help with the real estate location for your candidates as well.
Yeah, we actually do turnkey to opening. So we work with a third-party company that is going to help them find their location, do lease negotiations, architectural plans, permits, hire the general contractors, oversee them, help with the FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. We'll help in hiring the staff. We will not hire the staff, but we will help in that. And then, of course, we will train the entire team.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, a lot of brands that are brick and mortar help with the real estate location and the negotiation, but from A to Z that you guys do that's pretty spectacular. Okay, so you mentioned staff, so let's go down that route. So this is a medical type business, right? So I do know that you need a medical director to oversee the clinics. Is that correct?
That
Or
is not correct.
oh my gosh. Well, thanks. So I'm just going to turn it over to you and you tell me what you need.
So, most states actually don't have any licensing requirements, whether it's a medical director in the facility or who's actually doing the treatments. Now, what will happen is when the client moves forward to confirmation day to come and learn more, we will go and find out what the state regulations are. Some states will require a medical director. Perfect example, New Jersey. But Florida, Oklahoma, Georgia, they do not. So it really just depends on the state. No states are requiring any special license or certificate in regards to the techs. However, you will find that the techs are coming from cosmetology background, esthetician, massage therapist, certified nurse assistants, just because they have the compassion and they like to help people, make people feel better. But there's no actual special regulations there.
So what about the nutrition aspect? I mean, does the nutritionist need to be a certified nutritionist, or do you just have that in-house training?
So we actually do an online certification with them that they'll go through. So they don't have to have had like 4-year college degree or anything like that. It's just an online program that they'll go through prior to actually working with clients.
All right. Okay, so the investment level it varies wildly for like most brick and mortars do. For a single unit, it's between 485 and 785. So with that said, this is a heavy equipment based model from what I'm hearing. So do you guys offer any finance options for that equipment, or is it an outright purchase for your investors?
Yeah, so that price range, just to kind of give you a better idea, Stacie, most people are probably around 650, 680,000 all in. That seems to kind of be the average that we're looking at. When we're looking at that item 7, we're only seeing 3 months of payments for those machines. The machines themselves, we work with Allergen, which is the manufacturer of them. And Allergen will actually work with the franchisee on a lease or loan terms. What we're kind of seeing is anywhere between 24 to 36 months, about 5% interest, and then they would own those outright. I always joke and tell people, think of having a bunch of cars inside of your retail location, because that's how much these machines are, which is great for tax purposes, right? But there is definitely a loan that will be attached to that on top of that item 7 number.
So who do you find as your main competitors in this space?
I love that question. That's probably my favorite question that people ask me. And I don't want to sound cocky or anything. We don't really have a competitor yet, right? Everybody's gonna eventually see, oh, this is good, we should probably do something like this. But right now, I think we are the ones that are creating the concept, and there will be people that are following us. There are other brands out there. Sonobello is a great example of a brand that does something similar to us, where they're really focused on the machines and the technology and working on that subcutaneous fat. But then those clients are having to go to a nutritionist to get support there, and another person, doctor, to get the weight loss shots. And so they're having to go to multiple facilities to get what we have underneath one roof. And that is what is really separating us. There's nothing magical about the cool tone, the cool wave, machines. What's magical about Bodenvy in general is that we've put them all together, created a package, and then that client is also going to have a coach that they're going to meet with weekly. We're looking at it as these people are walking in and they're not happy. They don't feel good about themselves, both physically, mentally, emotionally. And so we are there to kind of help and guide them. And in order for them to get what we have under our roof, they would have to see multiple different locations.
Yeah, and I get that. And that's, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I'm familiar with the space. I love health and wellness, aesthetics. So, and like I said from the onset, I don't know of anything else out there that is all encompassing like this. But just taking a step back, so to the terzepatide, which you mentioned, they'd have to go to a doctor to get that. So if Bodenvy doesn't need a medical director or any special requirements in your technicians, how do you have access to that?
So have you ever been sick and you laid in bed and you're like, I am not going to a doctor. I'm going to call a Zoom doctor and they're going to help me. That is kind of what we have. You're going to have a doctor that is there with your business that can order those prescriptions, but it's almost like a Zoom doctor base. You'll call them, they'll have to fill out a little questionnaire in regards to that client, make sure that they are qualified for it, and then they'll send it out to their home. And they will actually give it the medication themselves at their home. That is about, on average, $1,500 a month. The more that you use them, you'll just pay an individual fee per customer, but it's not like somebody that is a W-2 employee on your payroll.
So $1,500 a month for the owner to have that service available.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's the average. If you're ordering a bunch, if you have January, everybody's goal is to lose weight, feel better. So that month it probably will go up a little bit because you have more customers getting on that. But overall, 1,500 is pretty average.
Okay. I was trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together there. So, all right. So you had mentioned earlier on about the average ticket for your customer. I mean, this is a high average ticket. So what is that average ticket?
Yeah, our average ticket is $5,300. Yeah, which is great. Remember when we first started, I told you that people do this extreme transformation program, about 60% of our customers. That extreme transformation program is about $14,500. But because of the fact that people also come in and do a la carte, or may just come in and buy protein powder or electrolytes, it does take the fact that we have 60% of our customers doing that, and then other people just doing individual treatments at a lower ticket price, and makes it so that we're at $5,300. Your bread and butter is that extreme transformation.
Wow, that's kind of mind-blowing. I mean, but when you think of all the pieces and the process that they go through that you outlined earlier, I mean, it does make sense. So what period of time, and I know it's going to vary by individual, but if it is 14,300, what period of time does that happen over technically?
13 weeks. And in that 13 weeks, we have a ton of testimonials on our webpage where people have lost 50, 60 pounds in that time period. So amazing transformation. I also like to make sure that you are well aware that we do work with 6 different credit providers. Because when you hear that 14,500, you're like, wow, that everybody can't afford that, right? So we've strategically placed 6 credit companies there to help with all sorts of different credit, income, everything to be able to help people look and feel better in a more cost-efficient way by those credit companies. As a franchisee, they get paid right up front, but as the client, they're having a monthly payment to that credit provider.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a great way to make it more accessible to many rather than a few. So, okay. So who is, well, let me ask this. How do you build your territories then? I mean, you had mentioned to me before this call that you recently sold out the entire state of New Jersey. And I believe you said that was 9 clinics, correct? So, what defines a territory?
So actually very big. Most health and wellness, they're 200. That's kind of the standard. But we do know our average ticket price is a little bit higher. So we want to make sure that we're giving the franchisees plenty of territory to be able to hit the numbers in which we continuously show in our item 19.
All right. Well, great lead in, Candice. So, what are those numbers that you show in your item 19?
This is my favorite part. I always tell people, they're like, okay, like I get it, but how good are the numbers?
Well, I will tell you, when I first saw this, I'm like, am I reading this correct? Like, bottom line, average revenue. I mean, there are some pretty impressive numbers here.
There really is. I always like to shout from the rooftops a couple of things. One, this business, you have to be highly involved, but I like to say on working on the business, not in the business. Right? So this is something that you could really focus for the first 3 to 6 months, get everything locked and loaded, and then move on to other adventures, other locations, whatever the case may be. So when you look at that and then also look at the numbers, it's like a win-win. So our location in Winter Park, Florida, which is about 1,500 square feet, so super tiny, they did $2.9 million last year. Out of that $2.9 million, after all expenses, everything said and done, even our royalties at 7%, they came in at a net income after estimated expenses at $462,000. Okay. Then we actually go and even show the first 6 months of 2024, which doesn't really happen in a lot of FDDs. And our first 6 months of 2024, they came in at 1.7. And after all expenses done, they are already at 357,000. So you can tell that they are on great projection to overcome that other number. And then we have another location that is our Dr. Phillips. This is our training facility. Very, very big, much larger than what anybody would need. It's like 2,800 square feet. We have a lot more machines in there, a lot more expensive rent. So everything's a little higher here. But their first year in business came in at 2.4 million. After all expenses, everything said and done, they came in their first year at 135,000 net. That is not really going to be common because, again, this is the training facility. It's a lot bigger than what they need, a lot more machines than they need. However, for 6 months of 2024, they're already at 1.5 million and have already surpassed the last year's numbers at 198,000 in that net after estimated expenses. And then my favorite is our Summit, New Jersey franchisee. So that's the one that I told you opening day had 29 customers on his calendar. In the FDD, we actually show you his first 2.5 months in business. And in his first 2.5 months in business, he brought in $643,000. And after all expenses, everything said and done, his adjusted net income was $86,000, which is pretty dang good for your first 2.5 months in business.
Pretty incredible. So I'm not surprised he came back to purchase the rest of New Jersey.
Yeah, he actually is in month 7 now and is doing incredibly well. The franchisees, when they get on these calls and get an opportunity to talk to him, he is doing very, very good. He's actually in process of opening his second and his third location right now.
Wow. So what Let's take this New Jersey investor. What is his background?
Yeah, so he is in pharmaceutical. So he's actually in manufacturing of pharmaceutical. Um, him and his business partner both are. Our other franchisees, we get a lot of IT, a lot of engineering tend to be really popular. And then the other ones, people that just like to make people feel good. And I know that that sounds very cliche, like and simple and easy, but that's what we look for in our franchisees. We want people that understand communication, relationships, compassion. I can't stress it enough. People are going to walk into this location not feeling good about themselves. We need to help them feel better with the way they walk out than the way that they walked in. And we can teach anybody how to do the Bodenvy machines and back office. We can't teach somebody how to have compassion. So that's what we really look for when we're looking for our franchisees and partnerships.
Yeah, that's very powerful. Um, it's just really interesting to me, the engineering and IT backgrounds, being very drawn. But then the more I think about it, it's probably the technology aspect of it, that is appealing. Or if it's something else, please correct me. But it's interesting to see, that demographic being really drawn to the model.
I agree with you.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they're used to technology. This is a very technology-based business, although it is very marketing driven um, and is about people.
The marketing, because I've had a few marketing people look at this brand. And one thing that I will say is if your clients and if you like marketing, we don't mandate that you can't use your own services to do your marketing strategy. We're just there to help a lot of franchisees that have no desire to do that, right? So Bodenvy, I've been in franchising my entire life. I actually have 140 barbershops myself. So really understand this background. And what I always tell people is you want to make sure who you like, who you're going into business with, right? Like that's really important. And why I say that is because Bodenvy, we're a new brand. They're looking for people that want to be partners with them, not franchisees to them. People that I almost say like a chairman of the board, right? Like that's who we want. We want people that can give suggestions and advice and be willing to try new strategies and give feedback and bring suggestions. So I always want to make sure that people understand we're open to whatever it is that you decide. We actually had a person come not long ago and they said, can I do Botox in my facility? And we were like, as long as you follow the regulations and you want to try it, sure. Like it goes together. Like we're okay with that. We want to make people feel better. And as long as it is in an environment that's making people feel better, we're going to absolutely be open to it.
I love it. All right. Well, Candice, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been very enlightening for me because this is the first time I've really dug into the brand, although I've been very intrigued by it for quite some time. So thank you for joining us. And for anybody that is interested in learning more about Bodenvy, please feel free to reach out to me at Stacie@fusionfranchising.com. Thanks and have a great day.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more on the franchise life.